Thank you. So, as the development race and the climate crisis rush forward, in Israel at least, law, policy, regulation lag behind. So on the one hand, we can see new gas and oil explorations, constant coastal development, very important blue innovation. But on the other hand, there is no law governing Israel's marine areas, especially the exclusive economic zone. There is no, although mandated by the Barcelona Convention, there is no law for preparedness for oil spills. There is no climate law, and there is no substantial policy, substantial guidelines for considering climate impacts in planning and zoning processes. This disconnect between the development, between exploitation of natural resources, and on the other hand, the lack of sufficient policy and law instruments leave the environment, the marine and coastal ecosystems, and the people at a grave disadvantage. So I really hope that with this panel, with these very fascinating speakers on today's panel, we can explore how we can take these buzzwords of resilience, of sustainability, of ecosystem-based management, and turn them from theory to reality. So thank you for being here with me. And we're going to start, after the inspiration from the previous panel with the gloomy side. Paul, with your vast experience, can you address the risks that we know that are posed today to oceans and marine ecosystems by blue economy or by unsustainable development?
Thanks. It's really an honor to be here. And just before jumping into the question, really want to thank Hilla and everyone from the Blue Economy Center for the invitation. And for me, this is really an opportunity I've been sort of waiting to see happen. I was, I mean, going back, the longer term is working to bring together ocean industries and investors starting 25 years ago. On this journey, and then formally launching the World Ocean Council, which I'll mention a bit more about 15 years ago. As I was talking to someone as we were walking over from the registration desk, and he was asking me, what's the World Ocean Council and what does it do? And I was saying, oh, when did that start? I said, well, formally about 15 years ago. And his immediate comment was, just like an entrepreneur, oh, 15 years too early to market because we're meeting now. And so it's been a steady process of getting together the global ocean industries and investment community. And I will have to say, I'm particularly excited about what's happening here today. 8 years ago or so, I was in Israel and was meeting with a number of companies from shipping and aquaculture, and also with the Israeli Business Sustainability Organization, and was proposing that there's some incredible opportunities here to start to get the ocean sectors together here in Israel, and there just wasn't anybody to really talk to about forming that sort of connective tissue. So it's wonderful to see the National Center and what's going on here. So what we're really focused on here is the role of, in this particular session and with the question, you know, what is the opportunity for the business community, the investment community, the innovation community to focus on addressing the challenges of unsustainable development, of impacts, negative impacts on the marine environment from ocean economic activity, maritime economic activity. And this is really certainly the driving concept and vision and mission of what we do at the World Ocean Council. And I think this needs to be, and it's from what we're hearing and what we know is happening here in Israel and other places, certainly the incentive, the impetus behind a lot of companies with the profit driver and a motive to have viable, economically viable and successful companies from startups all the way to big corporates, though that lens, that layer of addressing sustainability issues, impact challenges, etc., really is more and more woven into the core strategies, the structures, the operations, and the missions and of companies, of entrepreneurs and innovators, and often for the corporates, which is the real core community that we started with the World Ocean Council, often at the highest levels. And we're getting more and more of those CEO level commitments. A lot of the attention is on climate change, but more and more we talk about, importantly, as a society, the ocean climate biodiversity nexus. And that's really what we need to focus on. I think there's great opportunities given the size of the economy, the size of Israel and its marine areas. It really punches up higher than its weight, that can really lead the way on that.
Well, that's fascinating. And maybe, Galit, you've been in the forefront of the environment, climate, sustainability in Israel for a while from various points of view. And maybe you can share with us, from those various points of view, where do you see, when we look at this tissue that Paul was addressing, this joint interests working together, what are the things, the biggest challenges we need to address, we need to not neglect when we go forward?
Every one of us should, experience that. Okay, so first, I must say, when we are looking about the blue economy and so on, the ocean, the sea, is the mirror of the climate change phenomena. This is something we have to understand, especially now when we are looking for the temperature rise of the ocean and all the effects of that. So pay attention to that. That also calls all our weather, all our conditioned weather. It's not just the extreme weather event, it's our weather. If the ocean is so hot now, so we will face probably a lot of extreme weather events, but of course the temperature rise. And whatever we'll do, the ocean will take hundreds of years to reduce the temperature. That's something that we have to take into account. We are looking about the ocean, looking about the blue economy, the next economy after, let's say, we killed everything in the land, and now we are looking to the ocean. So pay attention to that. This is the first thing I would like to say. And the second issue that I would like to answer about the balance between the development and the conservation and preservation of the ocean ecosystem. There is no balance. And in Israel especially, there is a bias for the gas and oil exploration, extraction. And I can remember myself helping a lot to ensure the first planning master plans for the gas get inside to Israel, but we must take it that as a transition time, and we cannot waste this time that we have now and just sacrifice all the sea, our Mediterranean, just for oil and gas exploration. And in that, so I would like to raise some very relevant case studies. The first one, it's not the Mediterranean, it's the Eilat Gulf, and about the Qatar. And when we ask ourselves, and this is the question we have to ask in the ocean like we ask in the inland, is that development is necessary? Do you want to take this risk for Israel, for this kind of sea, especially for the Gulf of Eilat, that is very unique with the reef goals? So this is something we said no. There is places that we'll say for the ecosystem, for the other uses of the ocean, of the sea, like tourism, like agriculture, and other uses. We have to take this in thinking about what is the balance required and not to be biased much more for the oil and gas exploration, extraction, and also shipping. And just to finish with the regulation in Israel, I truly believe that the regulation is improving the innovative technology. We saw it We saw it in the Clean Air Act. We saw that impressive reduction of air pollution in Israel, also including innovative technologies. As much as we will continue with innovative regulation, then we will have the solutions from the innovative technology from the private sector. I truly believe in that, but in that time, this time, I think that I really agree with what Dor said, that we will have to rely on the innovative technology for climate change disruption and mitigate.
So that's very interesting, actually, the fact that legislation and regulation, when in place and when done correctly, can actually spur innovation and support business in a more sustainable way. And I think this is a very important thing to put in mind, because it's, again, that coveted triple benefit line, the profit line. So I'm gonna, because you both addressed the issue of innovation, and I think it's very important also with the fascinating companies outside here, I'll actually jump forward to what was supposed to close the panel, and ask you about innovation. So how do you see innovation in this balance? And Paul, maybe you can address it. How can we support innovation? How can we make sure it goes forward in a sustainable way? And what role does it play in this very delicate balance we're looking for?
Thanks. Yeah, so the role of innovation is really, and I would say that, you know, innovation is not just about technology, although a lot of the focus here and a lot of the strength and progress and momentum here in Israel is about technology. But in terms of innovation and solutions for the challenges of economic activity in the ocean and marine areas, there can be a lot of different kinds. There can be practices, there can be operational procedures, etc. So I would encourage people to think about innovation in a very broad sense of the word, and that it can be services. So there's lots of things that are needed. And so the key point from the World Ocean Council, as we look at these issues at the global level, is to start with the issues. You know, what is the problem? What is the challenge that the ocean economic players are grappling with? And that's then the second, I refer to it as 4 I's: issues, industry, innovation, and investors. So starting with the issues, what is the problem? Secondly, who is the industry, the companies, the sector, and often plural sectors in the marine space that have that issue, that challenge? That's your market. And so let's make sure innovation, and the 4th I, innovation, is targeting those issues in those industries, the real problems that need real solutions, because that's the market. And then that's what will attract, and what we do through the dynamics that we organize, attract the investors in either or both the corporate entities that then are looking for those solutions and are the leaders in green and blue, say, shipping and aquaculture, etc. Those are worthy of the attention of the investors, as well as then the startups and scale-ups that are providing the solution. So the innovation creates the opportunities for investment and drives forward the solutions. And there's a whole list of where we need those solutions, cross-cutting issues in terms of sensors and science for, technology and science and instrumentation for data collection. But around the issues themselves, then ocean noise, biofouling and invasive species, ship strikes on marine mammals, waste management and collection and waste management facilities. There's a whole list of these cross-cutting, multi-industry, trans-boundary issues. That's where we need the innovation to address the market, and then bring solutions that also tackle the sustainability, the biodiversity, et cetera, and pollution problems.
Thank you, Paul. And I think the 4 I's actually really clarifies it and puts it sort of in order, for me at least, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Galit, with keeping in mind those 4 I's and putting in 2 C's as the climate crisis, how do you see that impacting, especially the issue of supply chains in the marine area?
Yeah. So now we are starting a new project on disruption in supply chains causing from climate change and the effect of national security. And I think that in this, it's a new arena, I think, for a new innovation. There is already some companies dealing with this, most of it the logistics one. But we saw, well, let's rephrase it. I want to say something before I will start about the innovation in the supply chain. We face now, in a history time, that the world is changing. What we used to have for the last 25 years of globalization, now we are facing a new wave, let's say, from one hegemonic, let's say, one hegemonic force that used to be the USA, starting now a kind of a Cold War. And that caused the deglobalization. The deglobalization, together with the climate change phenomena, this puts us a huge challenge for the world. And this is the room for the innovation, not just innovation technology, but innovation thinking also. So the disruption in a supply chain, like in Israel, but it's also elsewhere, all over the world. But Israel, as a very, it's an island country, very dependent on import. About 98% of our commodities is coming abroad, coming from the sea. We are seaboard. And thinking about all the supply chains, from the producing site and the shipping until landing in Israel, there is a lot of room for disruption, for climate change disruption. Of course, there is also another disruption that we just faced in the coronavirus, and after it now with the Ukraine and Russia war. So we face a lot of disruption, but on top of it, it's a multiplied effect. Climate change will multiply the effects of this disruption on supply chains, drought in the places that grew the wheat and other commodities that we eat, foods, and of course in the shipping. The shipping, this is very, very familiar with the people here, I think. The shipping are very, very vulnerable to climate change disruption all the way. Heat waves that now needs more electricity and cooling along the way, sea level rise, and also floods in the ports. And the sea level rise and high temperature can be also melt the floods in the ports. So there is a lot of things to do and to think about, and now we are trying to phase it and model it with the most innovative technology and models, and to understand and predict what is the effect of the climate change to supply chain to Israel. But we are looking also about our neighbors, because Israel is a very, very resilient country and probably will face raising of price commodities, but we can handle it. But in all the other neighbors countries, it's not the same. And we are looking about what is the role of Israel in that case, and how we can ensure the stability of stability for the security of our region.
That's a very important issue, and I think something that rises from both your words is that we cannot afford to look at one segment, one stakeholder, one issue. We have to zoom out and look at it in a more circular, innovative, comprehensive. It's like an ecosystem that includes us all in it, and we have to address it all. Otherwise, we will fail, because it's a huge challenge we have ahead of us. We are about to finish, and I challenge you to leave us with one short positive takeaway you would like to leave with the audience today.
Sure, I will. And Noam had mentioned these ocean sort of cliches, but it really, from the Pacific Island region where I've spent a lot of my life and career, the ocean connects us. That big blue part of the map is what brings us together, and it certainly brings us together today. And so, building on this point about the neighbors, I would really encourage Israel to think about its neighbors economically and physically. The ocean, we always say a singular ocean, not oceans. It's one ocean, we're all connected. Israel can really be working at its East Med neighborhood, the Mediterranean, and then connecting to the global community, and certainly from our point, happy to help bring the corporate community, blue economy community together here in Israel, along with the innovators and the investors, to connect up with our Global Blue Finance Summit. So my point is connection and collaboration with the global investment, innovation, and industry community that is working towards ensuring we've got a healthy and sustainable and productive ocean that creates viable business opportunities for everyone.
I will continue with that, and I'll say that one way, or the best way, to tackle the challenge of the supply chain disruption is to shorten it from long supply chain to short supply chain. And to short it, we have to create a regional market. And it's good for us, it's the resilience for all the neighbors and also for us, because much more big market will have much more strong stake in when we negotiate for commodities and so on. So if we will create this regional market, and we will also rely on our neighbors and shorten our supply chains, I think that we can strong benefit from that.
That's great. So thank you for giving us something to look forward to and to work towards. And thank you for this very, very interesting discussion today. Thank you.